With the advent of social media and online dating apps, the dating landscape has undergone a massive transformation. However, while it has opened up more opportunities for both men and women to connect with potential mates, it has also brought its fair share of challenges, especially for men. The reality is, women now have a plethora of options at their fingertips, which makes the dating arena more challenging for men to navigate and truly stand out. It's become a visual game where first impressions are based on profile pictures, and men are under immense pressure to present themselves in the best possible light. Moreover, the dynamics of communication have changed. Texting has replaced face-to-face conversations, making it harder to convey one's personality and intentions. Misunderstandings are common, and they can often lead to frustrating experiences. The competition is fierce. Studies have made it abundantly clear that a staggering 80% of men are deemed unattractive by women on dating apps. It's a stark statistic that can't be brushed under the rug, but let's not wallow in self-pity and tackle this head-on. So why is this the case? Well, the thing is, women have far more options now than they did before, so they can afford to be more selective, which leaves a lot of guys out to dry in the dating marketplace. Not only that, but social media has swooped in and given women access to attention and validation that otherwise would have been fulfilled by men in person. So since women now get what they want in abundance, most women don't respect most men. And on top of that, most women don't like most men. So since most women don't like or respect most men, they only want a small percentage of men. This creates a skewing effect, where a majority of the women want a minority of the men. With an abundance of profiles to choose from, women have become experts at filtering out the noise and identifying the diamonds in the rough. It's a survival mechanism in the digital dating wilderness. But it's not all doom and gloom. With the right mindset and self-improvement efforts, men can still succeed in this new dating landscape. As we delve deeper into this topic, we will discuss 3 powerful rules men must internalize to drastically improve their game and relationship with women in today's cutthroat dating marketplace. And no, it's not going to be sugar-coated or politically correct, but these are things you need to understand in order to escape the ranks of the unattractive 80% of men and achieve success in the dating world. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Number 1. Understand that men and women are not equal. Now, some of you might be freaking out after hearing this, and it's understandable, given that a lot of modern men have fallen prey to the woke feminist ideology. However, contrary to what this ideology might have led you to believe, acknowledging this fundamental difference between men and women doesn't undermine anyone's worth or potential. It's not about saying one gender is superior to the other. It's about recognizing that men and women are inherently different, and these differences extend beyond just our physical attributes. These differences have deep-rooted evolutionary and biological origins. Men and women have distinct strengths, tendencies, and yes, even vulnerabilities. Pretending otherwise is not only disingenuous, but also counterproductive to understanding and navigating the complexities of relationships and dating. Now, why is it crucial to accept this reality? Understanding that men and women are not equal plays a huge part in making you more attractive as a man. It might sound counterintuitive in a world that often emphasizes equality, but it's essential to grasp why understanding this can work in your favor. When you acknowledge that men and women have inherent differences, you are better able to embrace and carry out your masculine role in the dating landscape, which in turn demonstrates a level of emotional intelligence and self-awareness that makes women naturally fall into their feminine energy when they're around you. A good woman appreciates and respects a man who values her feminine qualities rather than trying to fit her into a mold of equality that doesn't always align with reality. This is because it paves the way for better communication and ultimately having a more successful relationship. Trying to fit men and women into the same mold and pretending that we're the same is a recipe for frustration and disappointment. You can't split the bill on a date and expect the woman to be enthusiastic about being with you, because here's the reality. When you split the bill, it signals to the woman that you're not willing to take on the masculine role as the provider, and she will not respect you. Do not misunderstand it. This doesn't mean that you should lead with your wallet, or that women can't or shouldn't contribute to anything. It's about understanding the dynamics at play here. Regardless of what a woman says, even if she offers to pay the bill, they often give you better treatment when you take the initiative to cover it yourself. Why? Because it aligns with traditional dating expectations and signals your willingness to take on the masculine role as the provider. In fact, the whole premise of chivalry and a man being a gentleman to a woman stems from the basis that men and women aren't equal. Think about it. If men and women were equal, there would be no need for different standards in the military for women. Men and women would have no problem competing in sports, and women would have no need to want men who are taller, stronger, and make more money than them. The guys who think men and women are equal are the guys that often get friend-zoned. If a woman views you as her equal, do not expect her to submit to you, make sandwiches, or give you peace and quiet. For the relationship to work, you need to internalize the fact that you guys are not equals. Again, this isn't about being better than her. It's about taking the lead and being the masculine figure in the relationship, so your woman can fall into her feminine role. Number 2, never defer to your girl's authority. This means that you never want to put her in a position where she's responsible for making final decisions. That's your job as the man, not hers. Men lead and women follow. But let's be clear, this isn't about disregarding her opinions or making her feel insignificant. Instead, it's about understanding and embracing your role as the man. Here is the reality. In any strong, healthy relationship, both parties have a clear understanding of their responsibilities and God-given roles. When your default state is to defer to your girl's authority and have her shoulder the masculine burden of performance, especially when making critical decisions, do not expect her to be feminine and submissive. Sure, there might be instances where your girl enjoys making decisions or taking the lead. That's perfectly fine. However, consider this scenario. Say that you're both hungry, and you ask her what she wants to eat, and she responds with "I don't know," then returns the question to you, and this back and forth dance continues for an excruciating 20 minutes in the car. This is where the problem lies. Firstly, it creates unnecessary frustration and tension. Secondly, it signals a lack of decisiveness and leadership on your part, which is unattractive. Women often appreciate a man who can take charge and make decisions when needed, especially in situations as trivial as choosing a restaurant. When you aren't able to do that, she's going to lose attraction for you. Women are hardwired to look for men with leadership traits, and a big leadership trait is being able to lead your woman into something that she would otherwise want anyway. Sitting there and deferring to her authority even with something as small as "what do you want to eat" makes you look weak and pathetic. Now, does this mean that you always need to dictate every aspect of the relationship or disregard her preferences altogether? Of course not. It means you understand that you're the leader and the one responsible for making the tough calls and critical decisions in the relationship. As a man, you must be able to strike a balance between being considerate of her desires and confidently taking the lead when necessary. It's about being decisive, not domineering. Number 3, avoid showing weakness around women. Now, many of you guys might think girls find it attractive when you are vulnerable with them. Some may even argue that being open and vulnerable with your partner is a surefire way to bring you closer together and deepen your connection. But the truth is, this is nonsense. It's what modern society tells you to soften you up. Contrary to what modern society would like you to believe, being vulnerable with your woman is actually detrimental to the relationship. Modern women may say they find vulnerability attractive in men, but the reality is, her vagina will start to dry up the moment you start crying on her shoulder. She might comfort you for a bit, but deep down, she's going to feel a sense of disgust when you do this. Why? Because women aren't built to handle masculine problems. When you open up and cry to a woman, what you are inadvertently signaling to her is that you are not a fit leader for her and her future offspring, and she will lose attraction for you. Now, does this mean that women are terrible creatures that lack empathy? Of course not. This is not about a lack of empathy. It's about recognizing that just like men, women also have their own set of deep-seated evolutionary and biological proclivities when it comes to attraction and relationships. So even though modern women have been brainwashed into thinking they should like vulnerability in men, they aren't wired to handle it. Now, does this mean that you should act like a robot or pretend to be an emotional fortress that never shares his feelings or never has deep conversations with his woman? Of course not. It means you should be mindful of how and when you do it. It's important to recognize that maintaining a strong, masculine presence in the relationship is necessary to help keep the fires of attraction burning. This is why I'm not a fan of Drake. Drake is single-handedly the reason why so many men in the modern world are soy boys, because he's out there crying to women in songs. Pathetic. Listen, vulnerability in its rawest form means exposing your innermost feelings, fears, and insecurities. It's about letting your guard down and showing your emotional side. The question is, should this vulnerability be directed towards women in the same way a woman might direct it towards her man? The answer is no. Vulnerability is to be reserved for other men that you trust, not for women. Because here's the reality. Not only are women not built to handle masculine problems, But they also prefer men who are steadfast and can get things done in the face of chaos and adversity. As a man, you need to be the rock that her emotional waves can crash into, not the other way around. She's not your rock. Women are emotional, so the man has to be the logical one in the relationship. When you have problems, this is where mentors and close friends come in. You need to surround yourself with a brotherhood of other successful guys that you can defer to when you run into these problems. These are the guys that you show your vulnerability to, because they understand where you're coming from and can dispense proper advice to assist you. You can take that advice, improve, then go back to your woman and continue being the stoic rock that she needs you to be. A big reason why the divorce rate is so high in the West, with over 90% of divorces being initiated by women, is because most guys don't understand these fundamental rules. Firstly, you need to internalize that you and your girl are not equals. This whole 50-50 relationship idea is nonsense. It simply doesn't work. Nothing significant gets done by a committee. It gets done by a single leader with a vision, and everyone else supports that leader. Secondly, never defer to your woman's authority. If you do this, she'll lose attraction for you and will eventually seek someone else. Lastly, avoid showing weakness in front of your girl because she's not wired to handle masculine problems, and it will dry her up eventually. Reserve that vulnerability for trusted men who can offer you proper advice. With that said, don't forget to like and consider sharing this video with a soy boyfriend who needs a reality check, especially if he likes listening to Drake and cries on his girlfriend's lap.